Good morning. First, I want to thank Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Ford, Minister Bains, Mayor Burton, Jerry Diaz, ministers, MPs and MPPs for joining me today at Ford of Canada's national headquarters, or virtually at our Connectivity and Innovation Centre in Ottawa on this momentous occasion. It was only last week that we ratified a new globally competitive national labour agreement with our partners at Unifor to build a stronger future for our employees, our customers, and our communities. As part of a $1.8 billion investment, Ford is committed to transforming our Oakville assembly complex to build battery electric vehicles starting in 2024. This is a vital step toward Ford's larger multi-billion-dollar investment in producing electric vehicles for consumers around the world. From hybrids to plug-ins and full battery electric vehicles, Ford is not new to electrification. In fact, in recent years, Ford has put more than 800,000 electrified vehicles on the road, and we want to continue building on that number. Globally, we expect electrified vehicles to outsell vehicles with traditional internal combustion engines by the next decade. In the new era before us, we're also working to build a future where smart vehicles in smart environments will improve people's lives and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Ford is providing Canadians a broad choice of electrified vehicles and charging locations to meet their needs and to enable the way they want to live while helping to protect our planet. Support from both the federal and provincial governments was crucial to securing this transformational investment for Canada and Ontario. With this investment, Ford will expand its award-winning portfolio to include a family of battery electric SUVs built at Oakville Assembly, marking the first time ever that a full-line automaker has produced full battery electric vehicles in Canada for the North American market. Ford's investment will also bring the opportunity for battery pack assembly to Oakville, another first for Canada and Ontario. Government support also paved the way for a $148 million investment in Ford's Windsor operations, bringing the total investment to $1.95 billion and helping to secure Ford's broader Ontario footprint. Today, Ford of Canada is solidifying its commitment to providing good jobs in Canada with wage increases, bonuses, and other benefits for our production employees. We're also committed to delivering operational improvements that will maximize production flexibility to ensure we remain operationally competitive tomorrow. We've been operating in Canada for 116 years, longer than any other automaker, and we're proud to have employed thousands of Canadians in stable, well-paying jobs. For 11 years in a row, Canadians have chosen to purchase a Ford more than any other automotive brand. Our Canadian roots run deep, and we look forward to being here for the long haul. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite MPP Crawford to speak.
Thank you, Dean. It was a pleasure to be here today. I want to start out by saying that it is an honor to be here at the Ford Motor Plant with my federal, provincial, and municipal partners, and welcome Premier Ford back to Oakville. I would also like to recognize my provincial colleague, MPP Effie Triantafilopoulos, the member for Oakville North Burlington. The Ford Motor Plant has been a staple of our community since 1953. This plant plays an important role in Oakville's local economy and the province by supporting jobs both directly and indirectly. The Ford Motor Company of Canada has also given back through donations through communities across Canada. The benefits of having the plant operating here in Oakville are felt throughout our country. All levels of government have worked collaboratively, and I'm excited to see this announcement will see the Ford Assembly Plant continue to operate in our community for many years to come. With that, I want to thank Premier Ford for his unwavering support for businesses and the people of Oakville. And I would now like to invite the Premier to deliver his remarks.
That's great, and thank you so much, Stephen. And it's great to be back here in the beautiful town of Oakville, and with Minister Vic Fedeli, MP Pam Damoff, and along with our MPPs, as you just heard from Stephen Crawford and Effie Trianopoulos. And I'm glad to be joined by the Prime Minister, Jerry Diaz, from Ottawa. But above all, I want to thank Dean Stoneley, the President and CEO of Ford Canada. Dean is an absolute champion. Dean, thank you for helping make today possible. And a special thank you to all of the auto workers here at Oakville Assembly Plant and across the province. I just absolutely love our auto workers, and I want our incredible auto workers to know that we will always, always have your back. And to Jerry and your team at Unifor. Jerry, you and your members have been great to work with during these difficult times. My friends, we have a plan for growth, renewal, and recovery of our province. Our plan means strategic investments, including some great projects right here in Oakville. We're getting shovels in the ground on a brand new secondary school for Oakville, investing over $33 million. Together with the town of Oakville and our federal partners, we're purchasing 73 new electric buses and 32 charging stations. We're also working with Ford to create 244 internships to prepare students for jobs of the future. And today, we're laying the groundwork for the long-term recovery and prosperity of our province. Ontario is a leader in North America and around the world in the auto innovation. In fact, Ontario is the only place in North America where 5 major auto builders build vehicles right here in Ontario, and we need to maintain that competitive edge. Ontario's auto industry is the lifeblood of so many communities across this province. When the auto industry prospers, Ontario prospers. Over 100,000 people work in Ontario's auto sector, including over 3,000 men and women right here at the Ford Oakville plant. These are good-paying jobs that support families and require specialized skills. That's why I'm incredibly proud to announce today Ontario is providing $295 million to support this historic investment in the Ford Oakville Assembly Plant. With the combined contributions from Ford, Ottawa, and the province, today's announcement represents the largest investment in Ontario's auto sector in over 15 years. This is a historic moment. This will support and protect our auto sector's Made in Ontario advantage. And it will help support good-paying jobs for Ontario families and workers for years to come. It will allow Ontario to continue to lead in the development and production of the next generation vehicles. Connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and now electric vehicles. The future of the auto industry is happening right here in Ontario, because Made in Ontario, it means supporting local. It means quality and excellence. It means you're supporting the home team. And it means you're supporting good jobs for your family, friends, and neighbors. My friends, if all of us buy Ontario-made or Canadian-made products, we can keep billions of dollars right here at home. Changing our buying habits can support our local factories and businesses and help communities and people get back on their feet. Today's landmark investment marks a new chapter for Ontario's auto sector. Working together, we will ensure our economy comes roaring back, stronger and more prosperous than ever before. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll hand it over to my all-star Economic Development Minister, Vic Fedeli.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today for this historic announcement. It was back in February 2019 when Premier Ford first announced Driving Prosperity, That's Ontario's long-term plan for our auto industry. We already knew that this sector had great people, the most skilled workers you'll find anywhere. We knew the sector had great companies, pioneers in their field, the best in the world. The plan brought together all the players, industry, research and education, labor, and each level of government. We knew that we needed to think big and long-term, looking at the next decade and beyond. Since then, we've been laying the groundwork, doubling down on skills training, strengthening our parts suppliers, boosting connected and autonomous innovation, and making it easier for companies to do business in Ontario. We put all the pieces together, and today, Ontario's auto industry is taking an important leap into the future. Ford Motor Company's investment of nearly $2 billion in Ontario represents a true game changer for our auto sector. With this landmark investment, Ontario becomes a global hub for electric vehicle manufacturing. Ford's Oakville Assembly Complex will become the company's #1 battery electric plant in North America. Governments around the world understand the economic benefits of winning at automotive investment of this significance. This will foster an electric vehicle parts and battery manufacturing supply chain, creating good jobs across our province and indeed all across Canada. And it creates opportunities across other sectors, including in Northern Ontario, our advanced mining industry, global leaders in the critical minerals required for electric vehicle batteries. And we commend the federal government for joining us at this table. This investment sends a message around the world that Ontario is the best place to develop and manufacture the next generation of vehicles. And it will protect and grow good quality, Ontario-made auto sector jobs over the long term and ensure that the sector remains sustainable and competitive in the decades to come. Thank you, Ford Canada, for believing in Ontario's auto workers and for your contribution and confidence in the future of our auto sector. Today's announcement is a huge turning point, and we are proud to work together to renew our economy, continue Ontario's legacy as the economic engine of our nation. Thank you very much, and now it's my pleasure to invite Anita Anand, Minister of Public Services and Procurement and Member of Parliament for Oakville, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Minister Fedeli. It is just wonderful to be here with you all as the Member of Parliament for Oakville on this extremely important day. I am pleased to be joined by our Prime Minister, Minister Bains, and Jerry Dias, Unifor's President. Nous vous rejoignons du territoire non cédé des Algonquins. Cette annonce virtuelle est un bon rappel de la façon dont nous pouvons être innovants et adaptables en cas de besoin. COVID-19 is an acute example of a monumental global challenge, calling out for Canadians to rapidly adapt in its face. At the same time, we must recognize that the natural environment in which we all live has been changing for decades, and we must accordingly take bold steps towards environmental sustainability. The economy also continues to evolve, and Canada must lead the way. Les effets de la pandémie mondiale seront ressentis dans les années à venir et il est essentiel que les gouvernements et les entreprises prennent les mesures nécessaires pour garantir une reprise économique forte et inclusive. Nous devons faire des investissements non seulement axés sur les besoins immédiats, mais qui sont aussi durables et tournés vers l'avenir. The auto industry is at the heart of Ontario's manufacturing sector. We value this industry and its importance as the lifeblood of our economy. What we know through this crisis and right here today is that every one of us here in Ottawa and in Oakville, regardless of political alignment, is absolutely dedicated to making Ontario and Canada both safe and successful. To my friends and colleagues back home in Oakville, including Dean Stoneley and all of the auto workers in Oakville, congratulations. This is a great day for Oakville, and I am honored to be your Member of Parliament. I would like to now invite the President of Unifor, Jerry Dias, to say a few words. Thank you. Megwetch. Merci.
Thank you, Anita. Today is a historic day. Today is about a vision. It's about a bold vision for young people. The vision is about a plan. It's about saying to young people that we have a plan for jobs, just not for today, but more importantly, for tomorrow. Because we've always told young people, go to school, get an education, get your diploma, and your jobs will be waiting for you when you're finished. Well, it hasn't really worked out that way for a long time. But I'll argue that today changes things, because it's really about saying to people that the plan is in place for the long term. Because for so long, workers have been told in the auto industry is a dying industry. It's old. The industry is a sunset industry, but I am so pleased today to say, no, it's not a sunset industry, but it's a sunrise industry. And it is an opportunity today to say as a nation that we aren't just satisfied with maintaining the footprint, but it's about us as a nation taking a global leadership role in the development and manufacturing of battery electric vehicles. So I'm saying to Canadians, look at what is happening today. Look what happened in Oakville. Look what's happening right now in Kanata. It's Doug Ford and the provincial government, Justin Trudeau and the federal government. It's about Ford Motor Company. It's about our union. It's about everybody rowing in the same direction. For what? For the future of this critical industry and for young people. But this isn't just about building electric vehicles in Oakville. This is about taking a leadership role in using our natural resources in this country to put Canadians to work. This is about saying to our members that live in Sudbury, that mine nickel, we have a plan. This is about saying to the aluminum workers in Quebec and in BC, we have a plan. This is about saying to those workers in Northern Ontario that mine cobalt, we have a plan. This is about saying to those workers in Quebec that mine lithium, we have a plan. And this is what happens when we all come together. So I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for showing incredible leadership, not just during the pandemic, but understanding that we're going to have to jumpstart the economy as we get through this. And to Premier Doug Ford, thank you for your support and your leadership and understanding the importance of this $100 billion a year industry to the province of Ontario. My final remarks are for the community of Oakville and to our members. Always remember, not one vehicle can be built, not 1 cent of profit could be attained without your strength, your commitment, your sweat, and your brains. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Industry, our friend Navdeep Bains.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry, for that kind introduction. And thank you for your leadership and your friendship and your passion. It's on full display today, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. As you can see, colleagues, today is an exciting day for Canada's automotive industry. As some of you know, I started my career at Ford Motor Company of Canada. And I'm proud of the fact that this industry employs over 500,000 Canadians. And it contributes $16 billion to our national economy. And the history of auto manufacturing in Canada really began with the Ford Motor Company of Canada. So it's fitting that the next chapter of Canada's automotive industry also begins with Ford. For more than 100 years, Canada has built cars with traditional gas and diesel-powered engines. And today's investment marks the beginning of zero-emission vehicle manufacturing in Canada and secures Canada's place in a cleaner and more sustainable global automotive ecosystem. More and more Canadians want zero-emission vehicles, and automakers are prepared to make investments to shift their manufacturing accordingly. As a result, Canada now has an undeniable opportunity to invest in electrification and drive a green recovery to help achieve our climate change goals. Nous sommes confiants dans cette transformation parce que le Canada dispose de tous les bons ingrédients. Nos secteurs manufacturiers et numériques sont forts. Notre main-d'œuvre est diversifiée et hautement qualifiée. Et nous avons accès aux marchés mondiaux grâce à nos accords commerciaux. Et le Canada est un pays riche en ressources minérales qui sont essentielles à la production de véhicules zéro émission. And our government is committed to advancing strategic partnership with Canada's automotive industry, like our hosts here at Ford Motor Company of Canada. In doing so, we will keep our country's auto industry at the forefront of global competitiveness. We will compete and succeed globally as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you more about our government's latest investment in automotive jobs and growth, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce my friend, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau. Mine's a bit more complicated, so you have to bear with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nav. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Minister Bains. It's great to be here with you, as well as Minister Anand and Jerry Dias, the president of Unifor at the Ford Connectivity and Innovation Center. As you can see, we're joined virtually by Premier Ford in Oakville. Doug, it's always good to see you, along with our Member of Parliament for Oakville North Burlington, Pam Damoff, and Ontario Minister Fedeli. We also have the Member of the Provincial Parliament for Oakville, Stephen Crawford, and the President, CEO of Ford Canada, Dean Stoneley. Thank you so much for all your leadership in this, Dean, as well. For too many Canadians, this pandemic has meant worrying about their job or being laid off. Everyone deserves a good job they can rely on. That's why 2 weeks ago, in the speech from the throne, our government outlined a plan to create and protect thousands of good middle-class jobs and build a stronger, more resilient economy by investing in the future. Just last week, we announced a $10 billion infrastructure plan that will create tens of thousands of positions right across the country. And today, we're taking another step forward. The Government of Canada, in partnership with the Government of Ontario and Ford Canada, is investing $1.8 billion to transition Ford's Oakville assembly plant into making zero-emission electric vehicles. The federal government will contribute $295 million towards this project, and the Government of Ontario will do the same. Today's announcement secures over 5,000 good middle-class jobs and is a major vote of confidence in our auto sector. For people in Oakville, Windsor, Essex, and Ford's entire production line, I know this is big news. This is just one of the first steps to build a next-generation auto industry. And we have the resources to do that. From aluminum from Quebec to nickel from Ontario, this investment will make a huge impact throughout the supply chain, including the many, many auto parts suppliers throughout the regions. And it positions our workers for success while keeping us competitive as we grow the economy. The market for electric vehicles will grow in the future, and Canada has the talent to be a global leader in making batteries for electric vehicles, electrification, and clean technology. That means we need to secure good jobs now, which will open up more opportunities for our auto sector to thrive into the future. At the same time, by investing in technology that protects the environment, we're also taking action on our plan to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. For our auto sector, for our environment, this is a win-win. I want to thank Premier Ford for his continued partnership and acknowledge Jerry Dias and Minister Bains for their incredibly hard work. This is just another example of the important progress we can make when we all work together. Le gouvernement du Canada, en partenariat avec le gouvernement de l'Ontario et la compagnie Ford du Canada, va investir 1,8 milliard de dollars dans l'usine de montage de Ford à Oakville pour lui permettre de passer à la fabrication de véhicules électriques zéro émission. Le gouvernement fédéral et le gouvernement de l'Ontario investiront chacun 295 millions de dollars dans ce projet. Cet investissement permettra de maintenir plus de 5 000 bons emplois pour la classe moyenne. C'est une excellente nouvelle pour les travailleurs et pour les gens d'Oakville et de Windsor-Essex. Mais cette annonce n'est qu'une première étape afin de bâtir la prochaine génération du secteur automobile. Et le Canada détient les ressources nécessaires. Que ce soit l'aluminium qui vient des travailleurs du Québec ou le nickel du nord de l'Ontario, cet investissement aura aussi un impact positif sur la chaîne d'approvisionnement, y compris beaucoup de petits producteurs de pièces et d'ensembles pour l'industrie automobile. Nous voulons continuer de bâtir l'économie en restant compétitifs et en assurant le succès des travailleurs. Il y a une demande grandissante pour les véhicules électriques et le Canada a le potentiel d'être un chef de file en termes de fabrication de batteries pour ces véhicules, d'électrification et d'énergie propre. C'est en créant de bons emplois maintenant que nous continuerons à faire croître le secteur automobile pour l'avenir. Et parallèlement, le fait d'investir dans des technologies qui protègent l'environnement nous aidera à atteindre notre objectif de zéro émission de carbone net d'ici 2050. Le secteur automobile et l'environnement en sortent donc gagnants tous les deux. Je tiens à remercier le Premier ministre Ford pour son importante collaboration, ainsi que Jerry Dias et le ministre Bains pour leur travail acharné. Voilà encore une preuve de plus qui démontre que, lorsqu'on travaille ensemble, on peut réaliser de grands progrès. Before I end, I want to thank the Bank of Montreal for asking their employees to download the COVID Alert app. And I hope that other companies will follow BMO's lead. As we approach Thanksgiving weekend, the COVID Alert app is just one of the many ways that we can keep each other safe. We also need to keep following public health guidelines. Wash your hands, wear a mask, keep a 2-meter distance from others, and download the COVID Alert app. À l'approche de la fin de semaine de l'Action de grâce, il faut continuer de suivre les recommandations de la santé publique. Lavez vos mains, portez un masque, gardez vos distances et téléchargez l'application Alerte COVID qui fait déjà une grande différence à travers le pays. We'll get through this together. I'm now happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll start the question period with, we have 20 minutes for the question period today, starting with the phone, then going to the floor. Please let us know who you would like to address your question to firsthand. Opérateur, première question.
Merci, thank you. La première question est de Raymond Filion de TVA. À vous la parole.
Merci. Bonjour, messieurs. Une question pour le premier ministre Justin Trudeau. Les gens du Québec doivent actuellement passer par le Nouveau-Brunswick pour se rendre aux îles de la Madeleine. Or, avec la pandémie, on leur interdit de s'arrêter, de dormir dans la province et ça cause des problèmes de sécurité. Même en cas d'urgence routière, la GRC refuse de laisser monter les gens dans ses autopatrouilles. On les laisse carrément au bord de la route en pleine nuit. Alors, M. Trudeau, est-ce que c'est une situation qui vous paraît acceptable? Et sinon, est-ce que votre gouvernement compte intervenir?
On vit tous des moments difficiles à cause de la COVID-19 et nous devons tous de faire tout ce qu'on peut pour se garder en sécurité et protéger nos voisins et nos travailleurs de première ligne. Je sais que l'existence d'une bulle d'Atlantique peut causer des défis pour les gens qui se rendent aux îles de la Madeleine. C'est une question principalement pour les autorités provinciales, y compris au Nouveau-Brunswick, qui a la charge de la GRC et de la patrouille au Nouveau-Brunswick. Mais certainement, c'est quelque chose sur lequel nous allons nous pencher avec les premiers ministres des provinces respectives.
En suivi, Raymond?
J'aimerais également vous entendre au sujet des élections américaines. Il y a une incertitude qui règne à savoir si le résultat sera reconnu. Ça a d'ailleurs été soulevé hier soir dans le débat vice-présidentiel. Les États-Unis étant le principal allié et partenaire économique du Canada, est-ce que vous avez des inquiétudes par rapport à l'instabilité qu'un résultat serré pourrait causer?
Je pense que nous regardons tous la polarisation qui se passe aux États-Unis avec une certaine inquiétude. C'est sûr que par rapport à la COVID-19, on est très chanceux au Canada d'avoir différents paliers de gouvernement comme moi et le premier ministre Ford et le premier ministre Legault qui travaillons ensemble de tout cœur pour essayer d'aider nos citoyens d'abord et avant tout. Aux États-Unis, c'est un peu plus polarisé et en période d'élection, on doit se préparer pour différentes issues, mais je peux souligner que nous allons être prêts pour les différentes possibilités, mais nous allons continuer de travailler pour protéger les intérêts et les besoins des Canadiens.
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
I think we're all watching the U.S. election with close attention because of its potential impact on the Canadian economy and on Canadians. In Canada, we are extremely lucky to have different orders of government, whether it's Premier Ford, Premier Legault, or other premiers across the country who have all worked well together and with the federal government to be there to support Canadians and not bring overly political elements into our response. As we watch the American election unfold, we are, of course, going to be prepared for various eventualities, but we are certainly hopeful that all will proceed smoothly.
Thank you, operator. Next question over the phone.
Thank you. The next question is from Lucas Meyer of News Talk 1010. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking our questions. To the Prime Minister and to the Premier, Prime Minister, you said we need to secure good jobs now, which will open up more opportunities for our auto sector to thrive in the future. Will you and Premier Ford, if you could address this as well, are the governments going to coordinate a plan together for this particular industry for the future? And how large do each of you see job growth in electric vehicles, this green auto sector in the future?
I think what we've seen through the past years is a transformation of many sectors of our economy, not just in Canada, but around the world. And we very much see that the world is continuing to change at a rapid pace, even in spite of COVID-19. What this announcement is all about and what governments are working together on is seeing where the world is going and ensuring that Canada has a strong role to play in it, that there are good jobs for Canadians in a transforming world. And this announcement in partnership with the province of Ontario and Ford Canada is a great indication that not only do we see where the world is going, but we're making sure that Canadians and Canada plays an important role in it. From the high-quality manufacturing that Canada's always been able to do because of its extraordinary workers and partnerships with labour unions, from the innovation that Canadians are always capable of and its contribution to the knowledge economy, whether it be around AI or many elements of the digital economy, whether it be because of our natural resources. We talked about aluminum and lithium from Quebec, cobalt and nickel from Ontario, and inputs from across the country that are going to be key to a lower carbon future and towards electrification. Or whether it even be the trade deals that we've signed with every other G7 country with 3/4 of the world's GDP that Canada has access to, that makes it very interesting to be able to build cars that we can then ship to Europe and elsewhere around the world right here in Canada. There are tremendous advantages that we've worked hard to build, and we need to make sure that those benefits are there for Canadians into the future. That's what this announcement is a piece of. And as you say, there's lots more work to come, but we are doing it because we're going to be ready for this future.
Well, Lucas, first of all, thanks for the question. This announcement today is transformational. It's transformational not just for the auto sector, but so many other sectors. As I always say, we're blazing a new trail with this announcement. We're investing into the future of the auto industry, and right here will be the largest electric car manufacturing facility anywhere in North America. And again, I want to thank all three levels of government, no matter if it's Mayor Burton's done a great job here in Oakville, or if it's our province or the federal government. People expect us to work together. But it's not just this plant. It's about the 700 auto part manufacturing facilities that we have in Ontario. It's about the 500 die and tool manufacturers and mold makers that we have right here. And I know, Dean, I've been talking to Dean constantly about this, but this is a future that we can manufacture batteries right here. As the Prime Minister and Jerry Dias mentioned, we have the nickel here. We have the cobalt in Cobalt, Ontario, and a permitted refinery up there. We have the lithium right here in Ontario. And of course, we have the nickel in Sudbury. There's no better place to manufacture batteries, not just here for Ford and the auto sector, but it expands so many other opportunities to build batteries right here in Ontario, and we're going to continue blazing a new trail. And again, I want to thank Ford, I want to thank the federal government, municipal government, and the provincial government. I've always said from the beginning of this pandemic, rather than bickering and arguing and pointing fingers at each other, when we're all pulling in the same direction, this is the result that we get. Thank you for that question, Lucas.
And Premier, you've been criticized before on your energy policy, from the green energy contracts to canceling the electric vehicle rebates, getting rid of the environmental watchdog, etc. Does this signal a shift in your governing strategy around green jobs and energy?
We're a strong believer in the electrical cars and putting a battery plant here along with supporting Ford. We're all in, and we put our money where our mouth is with an investment of $295 million, and there's a tremendous opportunity to grow this industry, no matter if it's the auto sector or other sectors, that we can start manufacturing electric items right here in Ontario.
Thank you. Operator, one more question on the phone.
Merci. La prochaine question est de Mélanie Marquis de la presse. À vous la parole. Votre ligne est ouverte.
Merci. Bonjour, ma question pour M. Trudeau. Je voudrais vous entendre sur la pratique consistant à payer, à se rendre dans des cliniques privées pour subir des tests de dépistage de la COVID. Il y a des citoyens qui le font. Il y a de plus en plus d'entreprises, des centres de services scolaires aussi, qui passent par le privé. S'agit-il d'une contravention au principe ou à la loi canadienne sur la santé?
C'est extrêmement important qu'au Canada, on reconnaisse notre système universel, qui veut dire que personne ne doit avoir à payer pour des services essentiels comme des tests de dépistage. J'ai demandé à ma ministre de la Santé de regarder la situation depuis que ces rapports sont sortis il y a quelques jours, et notre ministère de la Santé est en train de se pencher sur cette question.
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
There is no question that one of the foundational elements of our country is our universal healthcare system, and that nobody should have to pay for essential medical services, particularly things like COVID tests. That's why a couple of days ago, when these reports first came out, I asked the Minister of Health to lean into it, and I can tell you that our health ministry is looking carefully at this question.
En suivi, Mélanie?
Oui, mais vous, personnellement, M. Trudeau, vous en pensez quoi du fait qu'il y a des gens qui peuvent se permettre de payer autour de 200 $ pour contourner des files d'attente?
Je comprends que nous devons d'assurer qu'il y a plus de tests, qu'il y a plus de processus de dépistage accessibles aux Canadiens. C'est inacceptable que les gens doivent attendre des heures et des heures pour des tests. C'est pour ça que nous travaillons avec les provinces depuis des mois pour augmenter la capacité de dépistage. Santé Canada poursuit son travail pour rendre disponible plus de tests de dépistage et nous les déployons dans une stratégie holistique qui va pouvoir s'assurer qu'on contrôle le virus, que les gens aient l'information nécessaire et que personne n'ait à attendre trop longtemps pour avoir un test ou pour avoir le résultat de ce test.
Glenn McGregor, CTV News. Prime Minister, I think you know that these jobs are only sustainable if people can afford to buy the vehicles. And I wonder if you will undertake to continue to renew the IZEB program after the initial $300 million in funding is exhausted. And secondly, we're here in Ontario where these vehicles behind you are more expensive to consumers than they are in Quebec or in British Columbia because Premier Ford has canceled the rebate for electric vehicles. You've got him on the line here, even if it appears to be dial-up. Could you give him a message about the rebate, what you'd like to see him do on rebates for electric vehicles?
We know that the transformation of our transportation industry is extremely important to reach a zero-emission future. And we know that Canadians want to be making choices around what's better for the environment and better for their pocketbook for the long term. That's why Canada put forward a very strong process of rebates for electric vehicles. And we're going to continue with them and we're going to support them. Right now, because it's a new technology, zero-emission vehicles and battery-powered vehicles can be more expensive than their gas-powered counterparts. But we've seen with technologies, the more people adopt them, the more innovators work on bringing down those costs, the more it's an easier choice to make for the pocketbook and not just for the environment. So I will continue to encourage all governments across this country to do their part and encourage people to be able to do the right thing for their families, for their kids, for their pocketbooks, and for the environments at the same time.
Tom Perry, CBC. I've got a question for the Premier and for the Prime Minister. It's about contact tracing. Premier Ford, you're trying to expand contact tracing in Ontario. Back in April, the federal government put out a call for volunteers. Got thousands of people coming forward. I'm wondering if you're looking to expand contact tracing, would you look at those volunteers as a possible pool of people? If not, why not? And for the Prime Minister, when you put that call out for volunteers, did you ask the provinces first whether that's the kind of help they needed? And what do you think of the uptake or lack of uptake so far from the provinces on that program?
Doug,
go ahead, Prime Minister.
We knew from learning what worked around the world, from talking with experts and epidemiologists, that contact tracing is an essential part of controlling the transmission of a pandemic. We've learned it through difficult experiences, including in Ebola with Africa, in Africa with Ebola, and that's why we knew that we needed to make available resources for contact tracing. So from the spring, we reached out to provinces to offer more support if they needed it on contact tracing because it is so essential, whether it was employees from Health Canada, employees from Statistics Canada, or others. We made sure from the beginning that provinces knew that if they needed more resources for contact tracing, the federal government was there to offer them. I know a number of jurisdictions did take us up on that, and we're always happy to offer more because it's an important part of preventing outbreaks like the one we're going through right now in certain parts of the country, and it'll be an important strategy for keeping them down as we move.
Well, I want to thank the Prime Minister. They did offer. We take them up on the offer for contact tracers, and we announced a week ago or so $1 billion in investing in contact tracing and tracking and testing. And I'm proud that we set another record yesterday at 48,300 tests. We're getting close to 50,000 tests, and just to put that into perspective, we're 38% of the population. We're testing 52% of the people. But we're going to continue training up the contact tracers and having people come on board. We're going to be hiring hundreds and hundreds of contact tracers. So we welcome anyone. If you want to be a contact tracer, by all means, go on the provincial website, and it's a great job.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Did you watch either the presidential or the vice presidential election debate, and what did you think of them?
I saw clips from both of them, but my focus right now needs to be on keeping Canadians safe and working with premiers across this country to engage in everything we need to do to control this second wave. Of course, what happens in the United States is going to be impacting Canada after the election. But our job is to be ready for all outcomes. And as you know, as a matter of course, I don't comment or weigh in on American political processes.
And what does that mean, be ready for all outcomes? What have you instructed your government to do, for example?
Well, I think we're certainly all hoping for a smooth transition or a clear result from the election, like many people are around the world. If it is less clear, there may be some disruptions, and we need to be ready for any outcomes. And I think that's what Canadians would expect of their governments, and we're certainly reflecting on that.
Good morning or good afternoon. You keep saying that your priority is to keep Canadians safe, to help them through this financially, and yet we're here in a relatively crowded space today to make this announcement. You also this week are making announcements on banning plastics. The carbon tax did go up earlier this year. How do you justify doing all of this when you're continually telling Canadians you're going to help them through this?
Well, I think part of Canadians' anxiety right now is not just for the short term of dealing with COVID-19. They need to know that once we're through it, and we will get through it, we're going to build back better. We're going to build a better future for Canadians. Canadians know, and we've known for a long time, that even as we deal with this crisis of COVID-19, we have to deal with the crisis of climate change. That's why we moved forward on a long-standing commitment to ban single-use harmful plastics. And Canadians know that they're ending up in our parks and our landfills in places and not being recycled. That's why we're keeping this commitment about moving forward and keeping plastic in our economy, but getting it out of the environment. These are things that matter to Canadians even during a pandemic. Similarly, as we talk about building back better, announcements like this today indicate that not only are we going to make it through this pandemic because we're working all together, but we're going to ensure that there are good jobs for the long term as we come out of this pandemic. I think this has been a moment where people are sort of stepping back and saying, okay, we've got to get through now, but once we get through it, what changes are there going to be in the world, and how do we make sure that Canadians can benefit from that? Well, this announcement today with the Government of Ontario and with Ford Canada demonstrates that we are prepared for what the future is going to bring. And there will be good jobs for thousands upon thousands of Canadians because of this announcement and because of the ecosystem we're starting to build around electric vehicles, around higher technology solutions, around drawing from the world-class mining industry that we have in Canada for the inputs into the technologies of the future. This is about reminding people that even as we work incredibly hard on keeping them safe now, we're going to be there for the long term to make sure that we're prosperous into the coming decades.
David Aiken, Global News. Prime Minister, a premier question for you, a politics question. A year ago, Prime Minister, you were warning Ontario voters of the evils of the Ford-Scheer agenda. And Premier, wasn't a couple of years ago, you were warning people the evils of the Trudeau-Win agenda. It's been pretty clear over the last couple of months, watching you two guys, that you get along well. Ontario and Canada are, like today, doing stuff together. What's changed to make that relationship work? And what should voters interpret, given how much you attacked each other in the last campaigns? Prime Minister, maybe Premier after that.
I think one of the things that Canadians are recognizing and extremely happy about is that different orders of government have come together to work on the one big issue that we're all facing, which is this COVID pandemic. People expect their institutions to work together, their orders of government, and that's exactly what we've done. Governments across the country of whatever political stripe all want the same thing: to keep people safe, to bring our economy back as quickly as possible, and support these communities into the future. On that, Premier Ford and I and all others find great common ground. There's still a number of things we're going to disagree on, and we'll point those out, but we also know that working together is really, really important in the areas we do agree. And what we found because of this pandemic and because of the urgency of working together on important files for the future, that there's a lot more we have in common than we disagree with. And I think on top of just being nice to see for Canadians, I think it's also deeply reassuring to know that in this time where there is so much uncertainty, People can have confidence in their institutions to focus on them and not focus on fighting each other, to focus on how we're going to get through this together. And that's exactly what they expect.
A big chunk of them that voted for the Prime Minister voted for me. People expect us to work together for years. A lot of people voted one way provincially, another way federally. But I've never been one to be it part of the Greens or the Blues or the Reds or the Orange. This is about working together, collaborating together, and coming up with solutions. And that's what we do every single day. I appreciate the relationship that myself and the Prime Minister have built, along with the other premiers and, of course, the Deputy Prime Minister for doing such a great job. But not only them, but the 444 mayors, be it Mayor Burton right here in Oakville, working collaboratively to do great projects like this. And this is one of many that we're going to focus in the Halton region to work again collaboratively to build the economy and create new jobs until everyone can grow and prosper and thrive. And when we work together, when companies grow, prosper, and thrive, people that work here have an opportunity to thrive as well together. Be it the federal government, the provincial government, or the municipal governments, we will come back. We will come back stronger than ever before when we stay united.
Thank you very much. This is what ends today's presser.
Thank you very much, everyone, and we will work on improving the connectivity issues as we move forward. I think as an event, this was a very successful one. It was great to see you, Doug. Great to be announcing this with you.
Prime Minister. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.